Good morning, and welcome to the very first episode of the Alameda Connection on KCSM HD2. I'm your host, Scott Piehler. Every Sunday morning, the Alameda Connection will show you what's great about the Bay Area's island city. From its earliest history, when it was the terminus of the first transcontinental railroad, through being the base of the China Clipper, to serving as the location for the Alameda Naval Air Station, to modern-day mentions in television and movies, to its current status as a destination for foodies, history buffs, architecture fans, beachgoers, water sports participants, sailors, and a whole lot more. That's right, the little island of Alameda has a surprising amount of things to offer, and I'll be your guide. We're going to start out by having a conversation with Michael Thanos. Michael is the co-founder and owner of Alameda's Forbidden Island. It's a tiki bar, but it's not just any tiki bar. Forbidden Island is nationally known and considered by many to be one of the reasons for the recent Tiki Bar revival that's taken hold across the nation. So how does an unassuming little bar on Lincoln Avenue in Alameda become the center of a national pop culture revival? That's what I wanted to find out. So I put on my best Hawaiian shirt, headed on over to Lincoln Avenue, grabbed a booth, and sat down with Michael Thanos, co-founder and owner of Forbidden Island.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. And welcome to being the first guest here on the Alameda Connection. I wanted to thank you for your time.
Super exciting. Thank you.
First of all, first question, where are you from originally? What brought you to what was your path to get to Alameda?
I am Greek by heritage, but I was born and raised in South Africa.
Okay.
Emigrated out here in the early 90s. My brothers emigrated in the 80s.
And you wound up here.
Wound up here.
I can relate because my wife was born on Key West. I was born on Long Island, and now we're here on another island. Yeah. There's just something about islands.
Definitely.
And one question I have, because I'm a geek, I have to get out of the way. How much flack or how many jokes did you have to put up with thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe having their villain?
I still do, and it's been great. I mean, on one particular Hawaiian Airlines flight back from Hawaii, they asked for my ID for alcohol sale, and saw my last name, and then before I know it, announced over the intercom, they said, "We've got a celebrity on board, Thanos," and they totally comped all our drinks and everything we ordered the whole flight. So
that's fantastic.
So I'm like the celebrity without piggybacking on another celebrity.
Kevin Feige will be sending a bill any day now. So it's 2006. What prompts you to open a tiki bar?
My journey began in 1999, basically when I was looking for a theme for my 30th birthday party. Believe it or not. I was collecting this magazine called Retro Lounge. Again, always, being a fan of retro culture, I came across this article in there of how to host the perfect tiki party. And this was groundbreaking for me because it's the first time that I came to understand that word tiki and what it meant. And of course, it definitely resonated with me, with my childhood fascination of drinks in pineapples and love of Elvis and Blue Hawaii and, all these other movies. Thing about it, even though this was still the dark days of tiki, the late 90s, there definitely wasn't much about tiki anywhere. It was a very well-written article and one that really detailed tiki as a concept. It said, basically, to host the perfect tiki party, you need to have all the elements right, going from drinks to food to music to the atmosphere, decor. Long story short, followed the article to a T and put on my 30th tiki birthday party, tiki themed, and it was a hit, an absolute hit. The one takeaway from that article was the mention of Trader Vic's. Now, Trader Vic's, something I had heard about. I remember looking in the white pages. Saw Trader Vic's. Yes, sure enough, it's in Emeryville. So that was the first time I ever went to Trader Vic's. It was the first time I ever had a Mai Tai. Walking into Trader Vic's, taking that first sip of the Mai Tai just absolutely blew me away. The sheer escapism of the tiki concept, absolute beauty, the layers of flavor of the Mai Tai is absolutely what just bowled me over. It was a type of cocktail I'd never really had before. I was, in my 20s drinking gin and tonics or something that was kind of, about the most layer of flavor I was getting. And then the second most important thing that ever happened, my wife and I got engaged in Florida. We were in Fort Lauderdale on our way to our hotel and came across, literally just out of the blue, the famed and incredible Mai Kai.
Okay.
Now, the Mai Kai is the last remaining tiki temple from the golden age of tiki, the
Really?
50s and 60s.
Okay.
To this day, it's absolutely incredible. It's basically the size of a city block. You walk in and there's all these little villages. I mean, Forbidden Island is like one little section of the Mai Kai. So it's like about 6 Forbidden Islands, maybe
Right.
more. And then there's the outdoors as well with waterfalls and a cocktail program and cocktail menu second to none. Drinks heralding back to the mid-century. The most incredible cocktails I had ever tasted. So coming back then, this must have been in about 2000 or so, but coming then back to the Bay Area, I was just absolutely consumed by this concept of tiki, and I wanted to find out anything I could. Discovered other places here in the Bay Area, of course the famed Tonga Room and some other tiki bars that had opened at about that time. Bamboo Hut in North Beach. There was one called Temple Bar in Berkeley. But there was one issue I had. These bars, and restaurants were incredible. Of course, Tonga Room, you can't beat that incredible decor and everything. The one problem I had with a lot of those bars, the quality of the tiki drinks that they were serving bore no resemblance to anything I had at the Mai Kai.
Got it.
Or Trader Vic's for that matter. I became fascinated with tiki, fascinated with mid-century style of the tiki bars that were around at the time. Wanted to not only recreate the look and feel of a mid-century style tiki restaurant, but go right back and serve the original cocktails, the types of cocktails that no one of our generation had. Maybe they'd heard of it.
Right.
Everyone heard of a zombie.
Something in Granddad's
something like that.
cookbook.
Yeah,
Right.
but right, exactly. But had they ever had the real recipe zombie, the one that on the Beachcomber was serving his guests with the help of my junior partner and our first actual general manager, Martin Kate, we went right back to discovering and serving the original recipes. And I'm glad we did. We were, by all accounts, the first bar on the scene, or at least the first bar on the scene that was busy, that actually, didn't close down after a year or two. Our concept was to take tiki back to the mid-century aesthetic.
It's interesting because even I grew up in the middle of New Hampshire, and in the Lakes region of New Hampshire, I'm forgetting the name of it to this day, but there was a tiki bar that was known throughout the state.
Yeah.
And in the middle of New Hampshire, what, maple syrup? No, tiki.
Tiki, right. Yeah, absolutely. It's an incredible story, and an incredible cultural phenomenon that occurred in this country. One that, took hold in the early part of the century. I guess specifically, 1934 was the date of the first tiki bar on
Really?
the Beachcomber.
Where was that?
In Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah, right after Prohibition, a gentleman by the name of Ernest Gans opened up on the Beachcomber. He had been traveling through exotic worlds, far, far away, brought in all this nautical and faraway decor and trappings. He'd been exposed to drinks such as Planter's Punch and Singapore Sling, set up shop in Hollywood right after Prohibition, making these what was referred to then as exotic cocktails.
Okay.
So that's when tiki really began.
Has the recent revolution in cocktail culture helped you? I mean, in the last couple of years, it seems like we've had a revival of cocktail culture.
Oh, most definitely. And I think that's specifically what got tiki out of the doldrums and back in the spotlight, was craft cocktail culture that was emerging in the early 2000s.
And while we're talking about current trends, and I was going to ask this later, but we're going to come to it since we're already on current trends. Alcohol consumption in America is dropping. You have always had an incredible non-alcoholic selection, because I will spend part of my days not having any alcohol and others having. But do you see more people gravitating towards those years? Are you selling more non-alcoholic drinks?
No doubt. Yeah. We're definitely selling more non-alcoholic cocktails than we ever were in years past. Even though we've always had a handful, not too many, 6 or 8 non-alcoholic versions of our cocktails. So basically, fruit juices or other salsa substituting for rum, but maintaining the flavor profile. They've always been popular, but definitely we've seen a jump in at least the last couple of years.
Now, going to the other end of the spectrum, you have the Kill Devil Club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
150 rums?
Definitely over 100. Yeah. So with Forbidden Island, we've all from day one wanted to be as much of a rum bar as a tiki bar. Rum, at least in the last few decades, definitely never got the sort of appreciation it deserved. It really is an incredible spirit. It's a diverse spirit in that there are basically no rules with the production of rum, or at least very little rules, unlike bourbon or rye whiskey, mezcal, scotch, where there's nothing but rules. So one can take a rum that's been aged in American bourbon barrels and now age that in sherry casks for another 5 years, and maybe a port cask after that is absolutely incredible.
And then invariably one of the island breweries will grab that barrel when you're done.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We've always wanted to showcase rum as a noteworthy spirit. Definitely at the time we were opening, 2006, rum was something that, you'd experimented with in college and still remember that terrible hangover. And of course, the rums that were prevalent on the market were just big name commercial rums. Like Bacardi, of course, and Captain Morgan. Yet, we knew of this whole other world of rum, Caribbean and elsewhere, that nobody else knew about.
So and I've got to say, your tasting notes going through your list, I mean, I've seen Napa wineries that are not that detailed with their tasting notes.
Yeah. From day one, we really sought out to literally educate the public about rum. And we've the Kill Devil Club was the means to the end. We started here with about 60 rums, which was absolutely everything that we could get our hands on in those days. That was stretching far and wide. Now, of course, rum is a completely different landscape, but we needed a vehicle and a way to get folks to try these rums, because really we wanted them to try these rums to really experiment with and experience basically the incredible world of rum. Flavor profile can not only differ from region to region, country to country, but also sometimes within the same distillery. So we came up with the Kill Devil Club, basically a list of the 60 rums that as folks completed it, they would actually become Kill Devil Club members, Rum Club members. We'll take it from there.
How long does it take somebody to get a plaque on the wall? How long does that usually take?
These days, and it wasn't too long after 2006 that we got to about, just over 100 rums. So today the Kill Devil list is just around that figure, 100 rums. And the fastest I've seen anyone do it has probably been, I would say, maybe about 10 months to a year. It's definitely the fastest. Most folks are up to 2 to 3 years, I'd say, to really do that.
Speaking of plaques on the wall, I have to ask you about one thing that's on the wall. How in the world did you ever wind up with an autographed photo of Angel Walker, the Satan's Angel burlesque performer from back in the day?
She was here.
Really?
She was here, yeah. Our good friends Otto and Baby Doe von Stroheim, who run and the founders of Tiki Oasis, have always been intimately involved in the burlesque scene. One day, Satan's Angel was, they brought her here to the bar, and absolutely lovely lady.
And for those of you who are not familiar with her story, I just have 2 words for you to look up, and that's flaming tassels.
That's right. Absolutely. Very well known for that.
Speaking of celebrities, going back through and looking at what you've done in the past, I was absolutely amazed that in 2015, you had Bay Area punk legend Jello Biafra doing a DJ set here.
Oh, yeah. How
in the world?
Now, that's from another of our, at the time, resident DJs, David Greenfield, a.k.a. DJ Sid Presley. He was good friends with Jello. On one occasion, he was like, I was going to reach out to a good buddy of mine who also DJs. He kept it so under, Jello Biafra. You may have heard of him. I'm like, absolutely. I would we'd love to have Jello. And it was such a smashing success that Jello actually came back several times and guest DJ'd with David, at least 4 or 5 times.
Well, now what I got to do is I've got to get in touch with some of my friends back in Atlanta where I used to work, because Fred Schneider of the B-52s, I understand, is an amazing DJ. So now I got to figure out how to get Fred here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Pandemic. You made it through. Obviously, we're here talking today. Tiki bars are very intimate, closed-in spaces. What did you do to get through pandemic?
We were very lucky. Let's just put it that way. Couple of things. Although we're strictly hold a bar spirits license, we've always had the ability to offer some food. Not a lot, some fried options that could basically, keep guests in their seats and not having to leave, or having to serve peanuts or something like that, like many of the bars in the city. That was step number one. The fact that we did have a food program allowed us to do to-go cocktails. March 17th, as we know, was the day of lockdown. Thankfully, then by May, so just a couple months later, we were allowed to do to-go cocktails. Okay. So we came out with a program, to-go cocktail program, which was a smashing success, and that definitely kept us running for, or at least paying the rent, getting some bills paid in during those months. The other stroke of luck is the fact that we have a parking lot on our property in the back. Not a big parking lot. It was just enough for about 10, 12 cars, but it was enough to put in an application for outdoor dining. Okay. A parklet, and a very unique parklet, because this was a parklet that didn't have to be on the street, that wasn't impeding traffic. It was a parking lot that was on private property. The moment that was green-lighted by the powers that be, we filed the application with ABC, and it literally got approved in hours, which was incredible. I've never seen the ABC or any government get anything done so quickly. That was absolutely incredible. Gone was the parking lot. We got a bunch of barrels and bar stools and tents, and we set up our outdoor dining, and so we could start then serving guests in as early as, I believe it was July. Okay. So
I can honestly say that usually because I'm with my dog, I'm usually out back when I come to visit, and it's a great space. You just recently came through something with the city, didn't you? We're having to basically get this reapproved or extended. What was that all about?
Exactly that. Yeah. It was our license, so to speak, was just as a parklet. So that was governed by the ABC, and the word was already out there that the parklet program was coming to an end, and so then we petitioned the city of Alameda to make it permanent. They gave us the go ahead, and at least for a 2-year trial period. Wonderful. So far so good.
Excellent. Yeah. What is your favorite drink on the menu? Do you have one?
Oh, I have so many. Yeah. Well, one of my all-time favorites, and one that I'll definitely have from time to time, is the Jet Pilot. It's just an old classic drink of Don the Beachcombers, and really what type of drink he used to refer to as rum rhapsody. So it's one of those. It's just got layers of flavor, incorporates several different rums of different aging. Those blend together with citrus and the house-made syrups to just form this absolutely incredible taste. One that just the first sip just hits every taste bud.
I think as I recall, my son-in-law likes that one too.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, yeah. He's a fan. He's a fan.
Yeah.
Is there not that I've ever seen one, is there a typical customer for Forbidden Island?
No. We I think part of our staying power is the fact that our concept hits and is liked just across the board. early 20s folks coming in here. They've been hearing about Tiki Bars, been seeing all these incredible cocktails on their Instagram feed, and so the moment that they are old enough to be in a bar, they're here and they're loving it.
You may have the most Instagrammable drinks in the Bay Area. They're gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah. A key feature of the tiki cocktail. It's an incredible looking cocktail. Not just the layers of flavor just gives the cocktail this sort of golden brown, hue. It's served in a goblet with these garnishes. It's just an incredible looking cocktail. And at Forbidden Island, we don't spare any expense with our garnishes and stuff like that. And it just photographs really well and tastes incredible.
My mother, who lives in New Hampshire, came to visit, and my mother is in her 80s, and she adored this place. If you go to her house now, she still has her Forbidden Island coasters.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Nice.
So
exactly.
That all ages appeal. It's
all ages. Yeah. We have a regular. He was just in on Saturday, and he's 92 years old, and he'll come with his son here at least once a month.
Wonderful.
And just loves it here. Loves our drinks.
What's it like being so well known in the larger tiki community? Talk to me a little bit about that community nationwide, because I was talking with someone about this interview coming up, and I said I thought it would be fun to start the show with Forbidden Island, and my friend turned to me and said, yeah, every time I say Forbidden Island to somebody from outside the island, they say, anytime I say Alameda to someone, they say, oh yeah, Forbidden Island.
Yeah, almost right away we were getting attention far and wide, and we really established a name for ourselves. Definitely opening up the bar, we wanted to create the wow factor, basically to wow someone as they walked in, just with the decor, wow them with the menu as they opening up this incredible this menu with like 35 different options of these incredibly sounding cocktails, and then of course wowing them with the cocktails themselves, and it worked.
Do you have people from other tiki bars in other regions of the country reach out to you, say, hey, I could use some advice, or what's your secret, or?
Officially and unofficially, sure. Yeah. We've definitely had, many tiki bars that have, opened in our wake have, openly admitted to me as well and said, hey, it's first visit to Forbidden Island that created this, that really got the inspiration going. They definitely credit Forbidden Island with the spark, which I well understand, because it was my first visit to Trader Vic's, going back again to 1999 that I mentioned earlier, that fundamental step in the tiki direction that, it made me fall in love with tiki.
I have to ask you this. Where in the world do you get your music? I was turned to my wife the other day. We were here on a Sunday afternoon, and I said, did you hear that? Yeah. I said, that's a tiki version of Joy Division's Love Will Tear Us Apart. Where does this music come from?
Yeah, these days it's Spotify.
Okay.
So, but back in the day, in 2006, when we first opened, we, as part of the escapism, as part of the mid-century style that we were going for, we curated a jukebox that was either just very strictly tiki or mid-century.
Okay.
So 1950s and up to about 1965. And that was our musical theme. Our concept for the first few years was just this jukebox that you could either select these tracks or it would play on shuffle,
right,
as well. So we started off that was a very important facet of our audiovisual. So now that is carried on these days with Spotify.
It's really quite something for those who haven't been here. And I'm an old DJ from back when, and so you're listening to this wonderfully thematic music. It sounds totally island, totally tiki, and then suddenly you realize, wait a minute, that's the Go-Go's.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely delightful.
Yeah, we're definitely at a point, modern day culture where retro culture is celebrated and incorporated now into the dominant culture, which is beautiful for me.
So there's a person out there listening to this saying, I've never been. What do you say to that person who's never been here, has no idea about tiki? What do you say to get them to walk in the door?
Well, if you're in the mood for an exotic tasting cocktail like you've never had before in an escapist environment, come to Forbidden Island. Basically, we will transport you to another time, another place, and serve you a cocktail the likes of which you've never had before.
Michael Thanos, co-founder and owner of Forbidden Island. Thank you so much for kicking off the Alameda Connection as our first guest. It's been an absolute blast spending time with you.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
Take care. Thanks again to Michael Thanos of Forbidden Island for spending time with us and teaching us about all things tiki. Always a fantastic time at Forbidden Island. Coming up next week on the Alameda Connection, we'll be checking in with one of Alameda's most fascinating museums, the Pacific Pinball Museum. Now, if you've never been, this is not a museum where you just go and look at exhibits. No, this is about as hands-on as it gets, with 103 playable machines that date all the way back to 1947. That machine would be Humpty Dumpty, the very first pinball machine to have flippers. It's a great place, and all those machines are set on free play. You pay your admission once for the day, and then you can come and go as you please and just have an absolute blast wandering through the decades of pinball. The museum also does a lot of great outreach to local schools with their STEM and STEAM programs. Great way to teach physics, pinball. Again, that's coming up next week here on the Alameda Connection. I'm your host, Scott Piehler. Thank you for spending time with me. Our theme music is by guitarist Bill Hart. The song is called Beachside Isle, and it comes from his wonderful album, Watch the Sky. The Alameda Connection comes your way every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. right here on KCSM HD2. I'm Scott Piehler, and I'll catch you next week.